my lights pointing right at her face, which is how I'm able to see the exact moment it changes from overjoyed triumph to terror and despair.
What? Laz, what? Talk to me!
Don't shoot! He's unarmed!
What?
And then I realize the sickening truth. She's talking to someone behind me.
Oh, creepy. That was the clip from the season finale of Out of Sight, which is the reason we're all here. Welcome to this very special live stream with the creators of Unknown 9 Out of Sight and the Unknown 9 Story World. Welcome. My name is Chris Masson. I'm the story architect for Reflector Entertainment, the Transmedia studio behind Unknown 9. And we are, of course, all here in honor of the end of the first season of everyone's favorite new podcast, Out of Sight. We're going to be talking with the creators of Out of Sight, taking your questions, hearing some clips. We've got an hour and a lot to get through, just jammed full of content. And there may even be some special guests joining us. I don't know. You may want to stick around for that. We'll see. Did I mention we'll be taking your questions? We will. Drop them in the chat, in the comments, whatever platform you're on. But who will answer them? Who's going to answer these questions? So many questions. Who's going to answer them? Well, let me introduce you to our panel for the evening. We've got four brilliant creative people. First up, it's Jessica Kincaid, writer of Out of Sight. Welcome, Jessica. Good to see you.
You too.
And of course, next up we have producer of Out of Sight, one of the geniuses behind the production of Out of Sight, producer Sean Williams from Gideon Media. Hi, Sean.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And we've got two big brains from Reflector. We've got Chief Creative Officer and founder of Reflector and creator of the Unknown 9 Story World, Alexandre Amancio. Alex.
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
And we've got the IP narrative director from Reflector, Tomas Street. Welcome, Thomas.
Thanks for having me here, Chris.
It wasn't my choice, but you are welcome here. Okay, we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We've got our four panelists. We've got Out of Sight fans in the chat. We're here to celebrate end of season 1 of Blake and Lazari's crazy, crazy journey. Put your questions in the chat. We're going to be getting to them. And here's the first question that I want to get to. Jessica, I want to start with you. Jess, you got a lot of attention for the excellent short stories that you wrote on the very, very popular subreddit No Sleep, but this is your first podcast. How did you make that jump, and how's the experience been?
Well, I get to work on Out of Sight essentially because Reflector gave me the chance to do it. I'd written some horror stories for them for their ARG a couple years ago, their first one, and I loved it. It was like such a fun experience. So when they asked if I wanted to come back and write a podcast, even though I'd like never had experience really doing it, I jumped at the chance, and I'm so glad it's been nuts. It's been so cool. Writing in a professional capacity, and in the podcast medium, it's definitely very different from what I was used to before. But I learn something new every day, and I get to work with awesome creative people. So it's been amazing.
Wow, that sounds like a dream.
It is.
It's great.
It is.
Alex, I wanted to ask you, what was it about Jessica's stories that made you think she'd be such a great fit for the story world?
It was the tone, the truth to her writing. Her characters just felt authentic, and she seemed to be channeling a lot of the stuff that we wanted to do with Unknown 9. And I felt that she could really help us, build that. When Jessica started working with us, it was still in its infancy. So she was really part of that original sort of small crew that helped us create this thing.
Wow, and create it you did. We've gone through a whole season here, and that's why we're here to celebrate it. Welcome everyone who's just coming into the chat. We've got 4 people on the panel, some of the geniuses behind Out of Sight. We're going to be talking a lot about Out of Sight and also some other stuff in the story world throughout the next hour, and maybe there's some surprises. Don't want to promise anything, but stick around. And Jess, I got another question from you. This is a question from Dvorak42, who sent this through our Discord server. Were there any particular stories or explorations that you wanted to tell in season 1 that ended up getting cut?
Stuff gets cut like all the time. So you learn to just sort of conceive of things and then let them go if they're not needed. So I can't think of anything that really like broke my heart that wasn't in, the final scripts. But there are small things that get cut in almost every script that you like. And specifically parts of Lazari's backstory that I really liked that like didn't fit the story world or the tone that we were doing, that had to be cut. But with stuff like that, it's all good because, you just use it for something else. So not really.
It'll show up somewhere. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Cool. So welcome to everyone who's just joining us in the chat. Throw your questions into the chat. Or, hey, tell us your favorite moments from season 1. We're going to be getting people who are on the panel to share their favorite moments. Jess, we've got a clip from your favorite, I think, episode of the season queued up. What is it, and why is it special for you?
Yeah, so this is a clip from episode 4, which is Lazari's story, which is probably my favorite episode of the season. I like it. I like this line because it's evocative, and it touches on something that I think is really important to both Blake and Lazari's characters, which is, finding the secrets of the world and looking beyond the mundane, seeking the unknown, finding magic. So, plus I love Lazari, and I love this performance.
How could you not? Let's hear this from episode 4 of Out of Sight. Can we hear that clip?
You know the origin of the word occult?
Tell me.
It means secret, hidden, buried. It means if a thing's accessible, it's probably not going to be very powerful. You're not going to walk into Borders, pick up Raven fucking Moonchild's latest book on Wicca, and expect it to give you all the answers.
Indeed. We've got Bill from India in the chat. Hello, India. We love you, India. This is a question, Jess, that just came up. What were some inspirations used to create the paranormal events Blake and Laz ran into?
Oh, I mean, take your pick. I'm a huge horror fan, so I consume horror. I it's pretty much all I watch or read. And so I'm sure stuff trickles in from all over, but I try to make it my own. But I can't. I really like what I always say. My usual answer to this question is the Silent Hill video games really inspire me. I love the tone, and so I'm sure a lot of that like weird "what am I looking at" feeling. That's kind of what I'm trying to go for in a lot of what I write.
How do you feel about the idea of being redacted? To you, is that like the scariest thing in the world, or that might actually be kind of cool?
I mean, if I think that if like I just got an invisibility cloak, I think that would be pretty sweet, but for a limited time, not forever. That's the hard part about redaction, right? Is that it just keeps going and going.
It's kind of like the Curse of the Monkey's Paw version of being invisible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I want to shift over and talk with Sean. Ask Sean some questions here, guys. If you have any more questions, throw them in the chat. We see them coming in, and we're going to get to as many as we can. Sean, we just heard some great performances in that clip, and you're one of the people at Gideon Media responsible for this. How do you do it? I mean, you guys produce such great, high quality podcasts, and it's not easy. What are maybe some tricks you've developed to turn out such high quality work?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really helped is that we are primarily a theater company, and we've been producing theater in New York for over 20 years. And so I think a lot of people approach audio drama the way that like an animation studio might, where you get actors in and they'll say like, yeah, do it one time like you're scared, do it one time like you're running, and then they just fix it in editing. And what we do is bring all of the actors into the room, work with the director, work with the script. I mean, Jessica was amazing all the way through this. We constantly went back to her for notes and suggestions, and Lexi, who's with Reflector, was amazing too. And then we would create the show and then record that. We would record the whole scene, all of the actors interacting with each other. We even, I mean, I don't want to get in the weeds technically, but we would set up mics in a certain way so that people could even move around the room, and that movement was captured. So we were really trying to be completely devoted to what was written, and then to create whole, real human performances in the middle of it. And our director and our actors are totally brilliant and managed to do that beautifully.
Wow. Well, bravo. We've got your favorite clip coming up. I wanted to say that my favorite, it's not even a clip, but one of my favorite things I think from the season is all the little like supporting performances and small characters like the Godric Pendergasts and the bald man. Like, just
Yeah.
you can hear the theatricality. You know, they could have been throwaway.
And that's we totally cheated by producing theater for 20 years and putting together all of these amazing Broadway and off-Broadway actors, and then all of them were willing to come in and do the show with us. So it's like even the small characters are people that normally would have an entire show written for them, and they were happy to just come in and do it, which was great.
Wow, you can really hear it. So what is your favorite clip from the season? What is it, and why is it special to you?
It's from episode 4, because I think the thing that our company really fell in love with this story was the idea. We love sci-fi, we love horror, we're all a bunch of nerds, but the idea of a young woman trying to find her voice, and this team of people who wanted to help. Like, for us, particularly at this moment in history, like, you know, when we've been making this over the last year or last 2 years, the idea of a young woman looking for a voice and her community saying, we will help you find it. And so the end of episode 4, it's hard to listen to without getting choked up. It's really, really beautiful.
Well, let's hear that from episode 4 of Out of Sight.
So what made this worth it to you? Why do it at all?
Because you came through death 4 times. Because this guy here knew it was worth reaching across oblivion to find you. Because you could have walked away when you lost everything. But here you are, on the road with Blake, looking for answers. Because you're alive, Lazari. Don't ever doubt that. And you deserve to be heard.
Wow, that was from episode 4 of Out of Sight. I think that was a sort of a high watermark for a lot of people this season. And I wanted to stick with Lazari and redaction just for one more second, and come back to you, Jess, and ask, where did that come from? It's such an original idea to have this device that can erase someone from memory, not from existence, but from memory. I don't think we're hearing your audio. Are you on mute? Let's see.
Yes, I am.
There it is.
Yeah, when I first conceived of Lazari, she was her death and her redaction were all sort of linked together, and so it was really a question of like, what does it really mean? Like, what does being dead mean, essentially, and what does being a ghost mean, and how does that change someone? So if someone wasn't really, I mean, the reason that she thinks she's like dead or a ghost is that no one notices her, and she can scream all she wants, and but they just don't. And so that really scares me. And so yeah, I thought up the Cora.
Oh, yeah, I think that is that's a very particular kind of existential dread. Well done. Thomas, I want to come over to you and ask you, this is a question from the chat. Thanks for putting the questions in the chat. Keep them coming. If there was one aspect of Out of Sight that listeners should focus on to understand the Unknown Nine story world as a whole, what would that be?
Man, that's a good question. And it's kind of a cheating question, Because we should really just focus on the whole show. Like, if you don't take it all in, you're going to miss something. So I don't want to give you any cheat sheets. But I would say it's really at the core of what they're doing, the paranormal mystery. Blake and Lazari are going around the country answering people's questions that are all having these paranormal events. Our world really has that. There are, we draw a lot from reality. There are paranormal mysteries around every corner. And if you're open to them, like Blake and Lazari are, then you're going to find them. And that's going to be definitely apparent in everything else that we do.
Wait, so all that stuff exists in life?
Yeah, it's real.
No.
It's real. Wow. I used to live in the red brick building. I moved like a month before all this stuff went down. I'm so lucky.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was rent controlled, but.
But what a cost, though.
Exactly.
Okay. Alex, I wanted to ask you, building on that, how would you describe Out of Sight's place within the Unknown Nine story world?
So for me, Out of Sight is the connection between the very grandiose, larger than life stories that we tell in some other media, but bringing it down to the ground level, to real people. I think Thomas put it really nicely. It's about, Out of Sight is about finding the magical in the world, right? That the world is far more magical than we give it credit for. And if you just look, you'll find that magic. It's hidden all over. And Out of Sight is really the bridge between, those more larger dramatic stories and stuff that real people can experience every day.
That's kind of at the heart of, what being a quester is, right? Is like looking for that magic, asking the questions, looking for the answers.
Exactly.
We have your favorite clip queued up. What is it, and why is it special to you?
So for me, Out of Sight is also about two characters that are going across the country. It's a sort of there's something very Americana about it, right? They go into small towns, into villages. They meet all kinds of colorful people. And so this, for me, this character that they're talking to is one of those people. It's just random, this guy that they talk to, and he's this small character, and yet he's memorable. And also, the conversation that they're talking about is literally a manifestation of what we were just talking about, that finding the magic. They literally are talking about something that some people see and others don't. Why? Just because their mind isn't open to it. And also, lastly, because there's a lot of clips that sort of cover this stuff, but I really like this clip as well because there's some humor to it. And I think Jessica does a tremendous job at going into the horror genre, but one needs to remember that tension is all about contrasts, and finding these lighter moments and being able to create these humoristic moments, I think, make the scary parts all that scarier.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear that clip from Out of Sight.
Jesus goddamn Christ. The hole?
Jim Clark is in his 50s and he doesn't have time for anyone's shit. He refuses to talk to me at first. He's worried I'm a journalist. But as soon as I say podcast, I guess he decides I'm a harmless joke.
Sounds like you've been getting a lot of complaints about it.
Oh, I wish it was complaints. I know how to handle complaints, but how do you handle people thanking you for a hole in their basement?
They were thanking you?
I would have shrugged it off if it was just the nuts like that Dennison lady or Princess Maggie, but it was everybody after a while. I mean, what are the odds of that? You fill 14 different apartments with 14 different families, a second grade teacher, kids from the U, regular people, and everything seems normal. For years, you think you got lucky, and then one day you find out they're all fucking crazy.
I don't know, man. I can understand being excited by something like this. Like if you think there's a unique phenomenon right under your own...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Have you actually been down to the basement, son?
No, they're kind of cagey about it.
Yeah, I bet they're fucking cagey.
Why's that?
There's no hole.
What?
There's no goddamn hole in the basement.
Is there a hole or is there not? We don't know. Jim Clark from Out of Sight. But I want to know what you guys know. Tell us in the comments, in the chat. Do you think there was a hole? Why could Blake not see it when he was down there? What's going on? Did those people disappear or what? What's going on? Tell us your fan theories. In the meantime, Thomas, I want to ask you. I'm sure you have a favorite clip too. What is it, and why is it special to you?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I just want to say I never saw a hole in the basement, but I didn't do my laundry there too often, so I didn't explore the basement that much.
You're not big on laundry,
when,
are you?
When I lived, no, I like to just new pair of socks every day, just disposable, that kind of thing. It's a little harder in COVID, but that's okay. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And a favorite episode though, I have something from episode 9, and it's to me. As a narrative guy, and we'll get into some things a little bit later on as what we're creating at Reflector, but I love a good setup and payoff. And the amount of setup that Jessica created for this season that pays off in like 2 scenes, like simple moments that are so packed full of things that are layered and complex and just reveal after reveal, that is it's just great. You talk about people and items for 8 episodes, and then when they show up, it's like you couldn't be happier to have all those things in the room. And there's something that's really wonderful about Blake and Lazari. For everybody, everybody, I'm assuming knows. I don't know spoilers here, but when the LYS show up, they don't need them. These guys save themselves, and it's great that they need to be in danger to save Lazari from her redaction. And if that didn't happen, if they didn't get to this point where they were about to completely be destroyed, they wouldn't be saved. And that's just great drama. So I'm a big fan of episode 9.
Boom, here it is, episode 9, big payoff from Out of Sight.
Now I'll tell you one last time. Bring me what you're holding.
You don't know what it is, do you? How? You've been after this thing for decades.
He couldn't get to the papers at the Holloway. He couldn't get past Rose.
Perhaps not. But you two have gathered all the information for me, so while we're at it, why don't you tell me everything you know about that thing you're holding? What has it got to do with my Cora?
Over my dead body.
No, darling. Over his.
Wait.
How much do you actually know about the Cora, Layla? You think what you're suffering right now is the worst it can do?
That's a creepy dude. I'm not going to lie. That's a creepy dude. Question from the audience here. Was there an object influencing the girl in The Nightmare Artist? That's Lindsay Martinez. Or was she some sort of prophet to create the pyramid for Blake and Laz? I don't know. Thomas, Alex, both of you guys want to talk about this or avoid talking about it?
I can say something about it. You want to go first, Thomas?
No, I would love for you to go first.
Okay. Yeah, there's something influencing her, and you can probably find hints about that throughout every narrative that we're putting out there. And as this our story cycle unfolds, I think you'll start getting more and more of a precise idea of what exactly that is.
Mm-hmm. That the same way that we were asked before, what to focus on in the show to lead to the story world. This is paranormal mystery right there. The beauty about a mystery is that you don't get the answers just handed to you. So we're definitely not going to hand you any answers right now.
Yep, more from the chat here. The pyramid being the key to open the gateway in episode 9. Can we expect to see objects from a story being a key element in another completely different story, creating links within the story world? Can we expect to see that, guys?
I want to know who's reading my email.
I'm typing those questions.
I think it's safe to say we can expect those sorts of links within the story world. Let's see. Any other fan theories we want to get to, or should we? Okay. How about this? So we're here to celebrate the end of season 1 of Out of Sight. And the elephant in the room is, what about season 2? What about it? Can you tell us anything? Alex, can you tell us anything?
Well, I can confirm that there will be a season 2, and it's going to come out sometime in 2021.
Yes. Amazing. That's great. So then, Jessica, let me ask you this. What can we expect for Blake and Lazari in season 2? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away.
Right.
Like season 1, there will be, a focus on exploring supernatural mysteries and in the Unknown Nine world. Some scary stuff, some adventurous stuff. Blake and Lazari's relationship with the Leap Year Society is going to change things for them. At the end of season 1, they met, the Leap Year Society, so that's going to change a lot of things. And we'll be learning a lot more about the Unknown Nine world and all of the different aspects of it.
That's a juicy tease, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for Thomas and Alex. This is a question from our Discord server. And by the way, audience, if you're liking Out of Sight or anything from the Unknown Nine story world, or just the idea of the Transmedia story world, then you should really come onto our Discord server and talk about it. Or maybe you're curious about those strange sounds that you've heard at the end of episodes. What are those all about? Well, there's people there who love theorizing and decoding these sorts of things. But here's the question from Estimated Profit from the Discord server. What's next for the Unknown Nine franchise?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's so many things. We are just at the tip of this iceberg. It's barely visible at this point. And so anyone that's really getting into the characters and the drama that's unfolding in between Genesis, Out of Sight and chapters, there's so much more to come. It's gonna weave. It's going to shock you. It's going to scare you. You're going to want to turn the lights on before you go in the basement, kind of thing.
Yeah, like a giant hole down there.
I actually have our entire blueprint here. Can I share my screen? I'm kidding.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I mean, one of the really cool things about this story world is that I think that its very nature makes it very broad. And I love the fact that we can tell different stories of even different genres in various media. It totally fits to do more of a horror thing, in an audio story, and much more of a sort of international treasure hunt in a novel. And it still feels that we're in the world. And I think that one thing that you can expect is we continue with that trend of really pushing the limits of storytelling and really bending the genres and mixing genres that typically people wouldn't mix together. It's something that I think really excites us here to try to strive for that originality.
Yeah, I mean, and also in the short term, just some little things that you can expect. I mean, we talked about, Out of Sight with the second season for fans of Genesis. There's, it's book 1 of a trilogy. So there's going to be book 2, and book 2 is coming out next year. That's our gift to you, or Leighton's gift to everybody, really. It's such a strong, thrilling series. But yeah, the second installment, 2021.
There it is. While we're talking about the story world, Alex, how did this universe come to be?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the first thing that actually came to be was the combination of words, Leap Year Society. The first thing that sort of started forming was this idea that I felt that the world was, we were. If you look back, I'm a big believer in the fact that history reproduces itself. It sort of like happens over and over. The same patterns come back at when the right combination of factors sort of converges. And every time human civilization comes to a point where we think we've got everything figured out, people start looking to the unknown. It's almost like it's encoded within us that we need to find magic in the world. And this happened at the beginning of the 20th century when, physics had figured everything out. Before Einstein and, relativity and quantum physics, we often forget that the U.S. Patent Office actually sent out a press release saying that they were closing most of the offices because we discovered everything. And this was like 1901 or something. And there was a really huge resurgence in everything to do with the paranormal and the occult. So I felt that we were in that same space. And so for me, like bringing magic back into the world, showing people that the world is deeper and more magical than they give it credit for was important. And one thing, so this had started, forming in the back of my mind when I was still working on Assassin's Creed. And I was missing what I call the narrative keystone, right? What I mean by that is, if you distill a story to its simplest form, what is it? Is it aliens? Is it vampires? Is it ghosts? What is it? What's the thing? Is it wizards? So that came with when I stumbled upon this myth called the Ashoka's 9 Unknown Men. And it was a story about knowledge that could save or destroy civilization. And I felt that represented, as well as this curiosity to find mystery back in the world and magic, this was also representative of today's world, this day and age. We are at sort of the edge of a precipice. Either we transcend our flaws and use technology to save ourselves, or we crumble under it and we destroy humanity. So it fit. And so this is sort of how those two ideas converged and formed the seed of Unknown 9. Now, obviously, this was the original seed. Since then, a lot of really talented people that are, some of them that are here in this chat right now, helped sort of build the various bricks that make up the story world.
Wow, yeah, not just bubblegum and popcorn lightness in the inspiration there. Love it.
No, there's definitely some deep deep mythology that's behind all of our stories, and nothing is by accident. There's a lot of things by design that are happening here.
Yep. We're going to get back to Out of Sight in a second, but while I have you two, I want to pivot and talk about Chapters, which is an ongoing online experience. You might call it an ARG, that also takes place within the Unknown 9 story world. Tomas, can you tell us about what connects Chapters to the Universe? Yeah. Can we call it that? Should we? Maybe we shouldn't.
The Universe?
The 9 story world?
I mean, even if we shouldn't, I think you just did. So we're going with it for the moment. There. And we'll find out if Chris is back on Monday, then I guess it sticks. So in the meantime, the way the Chapters connects to our world, and there's another thing that we haven't really mentioned yet, which is Torment. And, issue 1 of Torment is out there. And there's a great moment that happens in Torment where the LYS go from being a secret society to being a public society. They're out there. And with that initiative, Chapters is born, which is where the LYS reach out to the general public and say, if you, everything that Alex just said, basically, if you believe this stuff in the world, if you think that there's more to what you're seeing or that there's answers out there to find, come join us, come be a quester and look for the mysteries with us. So that's what Chapters really started as. Some of the connections to the story world, like there's those sort of metaphorical ones that are in the background. But as an example, the first case that people did, when they first became junior questers, linked directly to episode 1 of the podcast. A lot of people found it. We didn't tell anybody this. This is the kind of thing where I was saying before, we're not going to tell you all of these things. You have to go looking for them. But I'm going to tell you now because we're in a Q&A and this is the place to do it. So, the hole in the bottom of the red brick building, the answer to that mystery is not answered in Out of Sight. Blake and Lazari drive away. He can't go back. He's guilt-ridden. But he calls the cops. He gives an anonymous tip about this building and the people missing, and he can't find anybody. And that's the jump point for the first case of Chapters. And so you as a quester are just given this dossier about a building where some weird stuff has happened, and you have to go and find out what happened. It links through all the characters of Out of Sight. It links to the history of the LYS. It goes back about 112 years or more. It's a really complex storytelling device, and it was just in the background. Some people missed it, but those who got it were really excited. So there are layers of things like that. There's 3 episodes from Out of Sight that I can think of that are directly linked to chapters. We've got some stuff from Genesis, and then also some things from Torment. So it's all happening. It's all there.
Yeah, it sure is. Here's a question from the chat for Alex. When the pandemic ends, will we see any Unknown 9 puzzles or activities take place in the real world and not just in media, like live events?
So I think humans are social animals, and I strongly believe that doing stuff in the real world, getting people out of their houses when it's safe, of course, is part of the experience. It's part of the human experience, and I think that now is this day and age, not a pandemic here, but this day and age is the perfect. Like, we have devices that connect us, that can empower us to gamify most anything. So that's definitely a yes. Once it's safe, we have stuff planned.
There it is. That's great. Thomas, you mentioned Torment, and by the way, guys, we're going to get back to Out of Sight in a second. In fact, we have some special surprises for you, so stick around. It'll just be in a few minutes. But I wanted to ask, so much of what makes Out of Sight engaging, you might call it the U9 DNA, is all over the first novel, Genesis. And if you're bummed, by the way, because you're done with Out of Sight, get the audiobook of Genesis. I promise you'll love it. Guys, here's a question from Jody Armstrong on Facebook. Jody writes, I've read the first Genesis novel and listened to Out of Sight. There isn't much overlap. Is that a conscious choice to keep those 2 stories separate, or will they all converge down the road?
Yeah. So here's the first thing, because I love this question, Jody, because it's, you're looking for it. You're out there, you expect to see this. But here's what we've kind of been conditioned to see is a crossover. A crossover is when character A goes into show B for an episode, hangs out, and then leaves and goes back, and it's kind of back and forth. We're anything but traditional with the Unknown 9. And so what you need to be looking for, like there are so many things in Genesis that they're not overt. What we're doing is we're building that framework of our story world. And the more that you get into it, like what I'm excited for Jody, in a year from now, is she's going to be like, holy, and I almost just swore. I don't know if I can swear, whatever. But anyway, so holy, and look at how many things were set up in Genesis. I didn't even realize it, because there's themes, there's infrastructure, there's organizations, there's artifacts, there's the history. There's so many things that are going on there, but we're making a conscious effort, because at the end of the day, that's sort of the question, is like, are we deciding to not do it the other way and have everybody jump back and forth? So yes, we're making an effort to do that. We're picking and choosing the moments where it'll happen, so they're more impactful and not in every moment, but they're all in all, it's building a framework of a world.
Awesome. Fantastic response.
Guys, I wanted to ask about your strategy of bringing artists in to work on the story world. Alex, can you tell us a bit of like the strategy or thinking behind that?
Mm-hmm. So very early on, when when Reflector was created, it was this conscious decision to try to have this this convergence of a combination of veteran artists from across media and injecting new blood into it. Jessica is a really good example. She's a fresh new voice. And I think that the combination of having people that are more established, like a Leighton, for example, Leighton Green, and a Jessica, I think that it helps both of them, right? I think that Leighton is rejuvenated by the freshness of that voice, and I think that Jessica, at the same time, there's this solid stability of experience that comes from Leighton's work. So putting these people together in a room, brainstorming, building this stuff, I think it brings an energy that that has become, I think, unique to not only Unknown 9 but the Reflector experiment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of that, you bring in all these outside artists to work on various media, but also, right in Reflector, there's a whole team making a big AAA video game. Let's watch the trailer for Unknown 9 Awakening. This is the teaser trailer. Let's see it.
Peggy 16.
Ooh, all the feels, and a lot of questions too. I want to hear in the chat what you guys think is what's going on with that freeze time power thing. What's the story with the hands at the end? I want to hear some theories, and I also want to hear Alex. So this teaser premiered at Opening Night Live back in August, sandwiched between announcements from two giant games, and this one wins Best Announcement at ONL. What did winning that award mean to you and the game team?
Well, we've been working on this for such a long time, and it's always a nerve-wracking moment when, for the first time, you have this baby that you've been working on for the longest time, and then you're going to show it to the world, and seeing the world's reaction, having us seeing so much positive reaction on forums and in the comments of the videos, and actually winning the award was the validation, I think, that the team needed to sort of like re-energize them and get them to work, to give their 110, 120% in delivering this game.
Here. Yeah, that definitely still seems to be the feeling around the virtual office. People are still energized by that. I want to switch back to Out of Sight now, because I teased some special guests, and we have special guests. It's time to introduce them. I want to welcome the voice of Blake, Jorge Cordova.
Hi,
Welcome,
how you doing?
Jorge. Great. And of course, we can't have the voice of Blake without also having the voice of Lazari, Reina de Corsi. Welcome. It looks like that video is frozen, but it's a great look anyway. Oh, there you are. I think we got you back, Reina. Maybe still a bit choppy. That's okay. Jorge, I'm going to ask you a question. Who is Blake to you? Is there like a character, an archetype that acts as inspiration?
I mean, I think Blake is, I've been hearing a lot of people use the term quester, and I always think of seeker, and like the seeker, it's somebody who is seeking something, and it always like just brings me back to somebody who is almost like an archaeologist or a journalist, and somebody who's digging for a story that kind of gets tossed to the side. And I think that's what's always so fascinating to me about Blake, is that it's a story that is just, everybody else just looks at it and says, I don't want this. I don't want this on my desk. But this particular, journalist Seeker is taking it on and wanting to explore the possibilities of it, and because of his own experiences as well. But.
Yeah, it always strikes me that there's like an altruism in what he's doing too. You know, like he cares about the people that have these stories, right?
Right, and it's interesting in the way it's been written and the way the story's being told, and it's so fascinating because you get the sense that there may be 100 stories coming at him, and once his kind of quest gets a little more known, that there might be many people who are coming to him and telling him, "Hey, I got this lead, I got something for you," and the ones that he chooses to take on, and so often are the voices of people who have just been, kind of pushed aside and thought of as just crazy or weird or whatnot, and outcasts or outsiders, and he's willing to say, yeah, let's explore this. Let's explore this story. Let's explore this idea.
It's got a big heart. Wants to give people a voice. And speaking of giving people a voice, Raina, I think you're with us now. Yes.
Hi. Yes.
Can I hear you?
I can
yes.
hear you guys. Okay. Glad to be here.
All right. Yes. So glad to have you, Raina. I wanted to ask you. We talked a bit earlier about redaction and what a crazy concept that is. For you, it must have a major emotional impact on Lazari. Could you tell us about how you interpreted that? How did that piece of Laz's history influence your choices?
Absolutely. The redaction idea is, I feel like really all the best sci-fi stories are illustrations and externalizations and are metaphors for what are very, very intimate emotional experiences. And I feel like redaction touches on one that I think most people, it will resonate with. What it feels like to be unseen, to be unheard, to feel like your purchase on this world is not what you want it to be, that your ability to manifest in this world is not where it should be at. And it hurts. It hurts. And for Lazari, experiencing it in such an acute way, in such a concrete way, day after day after day, I think it makes her a bit, I don't want to say defensive, but perhaps defended. That is not that she's naturally a chilly person, but that right now she just can't afford to be open-hearted. So she's kind of got her defenses up a little bit. But then at the same time, the other half of what's happened to her is that she's lost so much. And in terms of her personal connections, she lost everybody. She didn't just lose everybody in her own, that she's ever known. She lost everybody that she's gonna know. And, when you lose something, that's when you really learn to value it. So I feel like although, she kind of comes off a little chilly, a little prickly, underneath that is a really rich understanding of how important personal relationships are. So it's kind of like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, I think of often that little throwaway line where Laz talks about how she's revealed herself to her parents multiple times, and it's a teary reunion, and then they forget.
Yeah, just people slipping away, not once, but over and over and over.
Yeah, it's violent. Hey, I want to ask you both, what do you hope happens for your characters in coming seasons?
I want to know all the things. I want to know the answers to all the things. Lazari, before she becomes redacted, she's really set up with all the tools for great success. She's brilliant, and she's tenacious, and she has such an enormous force of will and ability to manifest and succeed in this world. So now, right here at the end of season 1, she's getting all those things back, and so I really would love to see her walk into that again, into that zone of manifesting in the world the way she hasn't been able to be for so long.
Sean, I want to bring you in here. What is it? How does it feel being back on the same in space with these guys?
It's just terrible. we were in the studio every day, like this was our baby, making this show together, and we were in the studio every day for months, just working so hard. And then we basically finished recording, like the end of February is when we stopped, and within 2 weeks we were all locked away from each other. So we all live in New York. We live really close, but we haven't seen it. I mean, I think you guys are in the rooms you've been in since March. I mean, I know I am. So, but it's so wonderful to hear your guys' perspectives. You guys both did such a beautiful job bringing these characters to life, and I feel like getting Jessica to write for you guys and having you guys act and letting Jordana, our director Jordana Williams, isn't here with us, but like you guys did such a beautiful job of carrying off Jessica's script, and I'm really proud of what you did.
Oh man.
I miss you.
I miss you so much. It's so hard to see you guys right now.
I'm seeing a comment in the chat. Raina has so much feeling in her voice and really brought Lazari to life. I think we all feel that. Speaking of things that we all feel, Sean, let me ask you, are you shipping Blake and Laz as much as me and every other fan in the world?
Do you
see them getting
hard.
Together?
As a man in his late 90s, it's hard for me to think about things from a romantic point of view. That part of my heart has withered and died. But
you were the inspiration for Godric Pendergast, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I Jessica didn't even know what old was until she met me. But I have to say, if Blake and Lazari are in fact as handsome as these two are, then yes, I'd like to see them together. And they should have a precocious 5-year-old who will take over the world. I'm not saying that the Unknown 9 world needs to go in that direction, but just I'm throwing that out there for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a great sitcom premise. But Raina and Jorge, what do you guys think about that?
I'm sold. I love it.
I gotta say though, I don't know what's going to happen in season 2, but if the fans are feeling like something's going on, in my experience, the fans tend to be right. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you heard it, fans. Get on DeviantArt. We want to see that fan art. But Jess, what do you think about this?
Yeah, this is this is really fun. Yeah, I mean, I love both of them so much, and so I can see where fans would be thinking that there's something going on.
Yeah,
but that's all I'm going to say. That's it.
Got a question about the recording process. It says, how did the recording work, and was there room for improvisation or unexpected directions during the process?
We did actually. Jessica was on hand for a lot of stuff. Mac, who worked with us, Mac Rogers, who worked with us on the piece, was sort of the go-between between Jess and us in the studio. And what would often happen is we would do stuff. They really crafted the show based on what Jessica wrote. And then there would be moments where we're just like, actually, we're there without these extra 2 lines. So let's just try one where we're not doing that last half of that thing. But the script was so good that very often if we had improvs, the improvs would feed into an idea, and then we'd go back and do the actual lines, and it was always there. I didn't mean to speak for you guys. Did you guys feel like that was sort of how it went?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it just felt like I mean, I don't know. We've worked together before too. That should be said. So there's a little bit of a shorthand with all of us, and it was just like always a nice, fun, free, playful environment, and which is everything you could ever want. But yeah, but everything Sean said, yeah.
Here's another comment from the chat. Reina and Jorge work together so well, but who was their favorite guest cast member to work with? Reina, any thoughts on that?
I did sort of lose my mind when I showed up one day and Ashley Atkinson was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually one of the first actors I worked with in New York City. I think the first play I was ever in. So it was just really exciting to see her around.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Jorge, anyone stand out for you?
No, I don't like actors, so I was pretty disappointed every time. Anybody it felt like competition, and I. Honestly, we had a bunch of friends come through, so it was always cool. It was we had whenever like Stephanie Willing came or like Alfredo Narciso came. It was just like cool to see, like, and Ashley came. It was just like seeing people and it's I don't know, it's such a treat. You get to like hang out with people and create something and read fun scripts and play pretend and hang with people and hang with Jordana and Mac and Sean, and I don't know, I every day was really just a lot of fun to be there. So I don't know, that's not a great answer, but specific.
Well, no, I mean, I think all of that is valid, and it all comes across too. We can hear all of that in the recordings. I think it's time for us to wrap up. Sadly, I'm sure we could talk and reminisce and go really deep on Blake and Laz and the whole show for a long time. But guys, thanks so much for being here. Reina and Jorge, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all your hard work on the show.
Thank you so much.
So glad to be here.
Yeah.
And Jessica, thank you for being here so much. Great talking to you. Thanks for your insight about the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was super fun.
Yes. Sean Williams from Gideon Media. Great hearing your voice. Great to see you. Thanks for your insight. Much appreciated.
It was lovely.
And Thomas, first Alex. Hey, Alex. Alex Amancio, thanks for joining us. I want to remind everyone to stay up to date on unknown9.com. And Thomas Street, our narrative director. Thanks for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me. I just wanted to say, one thing that we get to know, of course, is what's coming up next. And when it's about Blake and Lazari and whether or not they're in a relationship, there's really just sort of like...
What? Sorry, Thomas. I'd love to have you fill that in, but we're out of time here. Yeah, I think Thomas was about to spoil a big plot spoiler there about Blake and Laz. Maybe next time. Join us next time on the next one of these live events. Stay up to date with us on unknown9.com. Follow us on social media. Those are the best places to stay up to date. Play chapters. Go to unknown9.com. Take the chapters personality quiz. I didn't even mention that. That's so much fun. Have fun with that. Check out everything on unknown9.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for making Out of Sight a success. It's been doing really well on podcast charts. Share it with your friends, because enjoying things with friends is better than enjoying things alone, right? And that's all I have to say. Thanks everyone at Reflector Entertainment. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch. Have a great night. And believe in the unknown.